Imagine for a moment the weight of every limitation, every fear, every doubt you've ever carried. Now, imagine dropping that weight, not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. What would your life look like if you could master the one thing truly within your control, your own inner world? This journey I'm about to take you on is not about fleeting motivation or temporary fixes. It's a call to awaken the giant within you, the unstoppable force that's been waiting patiently beneath the surface. Because here's the truth, no matter where you come from, what challenges you face, or how broken you feel, the power to rewrite your story lives inside you. It's not in your job, your relationships, or your circumstances. It's in your mind, your emotions, your habits, your presence. And today, we begin the greatest adventure of all, the journey to inner mastery. A journey where you don't just survive life, you command it. Where fear turns into fuel, limitation becomes launchpad, and self-doubt is crushed beneath the certainty of your own power. If you're ready to own your life, to take radical responsibility, and to unleash the greatness inside, then listen closely, because what I'm about to share will transform how you think, feel, and act forever. You see, the very first step on this journey to inner mastery is to own your power completely. And by that, I mean take radical responsibility for every single part of your life. Not some of it, not when it's easy or convenient, all of it. Because true power, lasting power, doesn't come from outside of you. It comes from the moment you decide to stop being a victim of your circumstances, stop pointing fingers, and stop blaming the world for where you are. Right now, look around at your life, what's working, what isn't, and here's the hard truth. Blaming others or your situation might feel comfortable for a moment, but it's the surest way to stay stuck. When you say, if only this or if only that, you're giving away your power. You're telling the universe that someone else controls your fate, and that's not true. You are the author of your story. Every line, every chapter, every plot twist, those come from you. Owning your power means stepping into the driver's seat of your mind and your emotions. It means choosing how you respond to challenges, setbacks, and even pain. Life will throw punches, that's guaranteed. But you get to decide how hard you let those punches hit you. You get to decide whether they knock you down or fuel you to rise higher. This is where most people get it wrong. They think responsibility means burden, struggle, or punishment. But it's exactly the opposite. Responsibility is freedom. When you claim responsibility, you gain control. You stop feeling like a leaf caught in the wind and instead become the captain of your ship, steering with clarity and purpose through any storm. And that's why this journey to inner mastery is about total ownership. Not just the wins, but the losses too. Own your choices, own your mistakes, own the moments when you fall short. Because inside that ownership is your power to change, to grow, and to create the life you want. Now, don't confuse owning your power with blaming yourself or beating yourself up. It's not about shame. It's about truth. Truth that sets you free to be greater than you ever imagined. When you say, "This is on me," you release the chains of helplessness and step into a place of strength. Don't you imagine your mind as a garden? If you let weeds of blame, excuse, and victimhood grow unchecked, they will choke out your potential. But when you pull those weeds and plant seeds of responsibility, commitment, and ownership, you cultivate a harvest of power, confidence, and unstoppable momentum. So ask yourself, are you ready to take radical responsibility, to own your life so fully that nothing outside of you can dictate your peace or your progress? This is the foundation of mastery. Without it, no growth is possible. But with it, everything changes. Because when you own your power, you step into the life you were born to live. You become unstoppable. Now that you've taken ownership of your power, the next step is mastering your mindset. Because here's the truth. Your mind is the battlefield where your future is either forged or destroyed. It's the place where your inner dialogue decides whether you rise or fall, whether you create or crumble. The thoughts you feed yourself every day are like seeds, and those seeds grow into the reality you experience. So the question becomes, what kind of garden are you cultivating inside your head? Most people don't realize how deeply their beliefs shape every moment of their lives. Those beliefs, often unconscious, form from past experiences, fear, or what others told you, act like filters, coloring everything you see, hear, and feel. If your beliefs say, I'm not enough, or success is for other people, then your brain will find endless evidence to prove that true. It's not about reality, it's about what you choose to believe. And that's why mastering your mindset is absolutely non-negotiable. It's not just about thinking positively or repeating affirmations like a robot. It's about digging deep to identify the beliefs that hold you back and then rewriting them into empowering truths that propel you forward. It's about becoming the conscious architect of your mind, not a passive tenant who lets fear or doubt rule the day. You see, when you change your mindset, everything changes. Challenges become opportunities, failure becomes feedback, and obstacles become stepping stones. The power to change your mind means the power to change your life. And that's the kind of power that can't be taken away by anyone or anything. So how do you do it? First, start by becoming aware. Catch the thoughts that run in the background, those little voices that tell you, I can't, or I'm not ready. Don't fight them or push them away. Simply notice them. Awareness is the first step toward change. When you shine a light on those limiting beliefs, you weaken their grip. Next, question them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Where did this belief come from? Is it serving me or holding me back? Often you'll find those beliefs are outdated stories, lies told to you long ago that no longer fit your life or your potential. Then replace those old stories with new, empowering ones. Create beliefs that support your growth, your confidence, and your success. It might be something like, I am capable of learning and growing every day, or I have the strength to overcome any challenge. These are not empty words, they are declarations of who you choose to become. Mastering your mindset also means feeding your brain with positive inputs, books, conversations, environments that inspire and elevate you. Your mind is like a muscle. It grows stronger with practice and intentional focus. When you take control of your thoughts, you become unstoppable. Because your mindset shapes your emotions, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. The quality of your life will never exceed the quality of your mindset. Mastering your mind is powerful, but mastery doesn't stop there. You must also become the CEO of your emotions. Emotions are the fuel that drive your actions. They shape your decisions, influence your relationships, and ultimately determine the quality of your life. And yet, most people live as if their emotions are wild horses, bucking and running wherever they want, leaving them feeling helpless or overwhelmed. But here's the truth. Emotions are not enemies to be feared or controlled by force. They are messages, signals from within designed to guide you. When you learn to recognize what your emotions are telling you, you step into a new level of self-awareness. You become the one who chooses how to respond, rather than being swept away by impulses. Emotional intelligence means developing that skill, the ability to feel deeply, understand what those feelings mean, and then channel them in a way that serves your highest purpose. It means not suppressing anger, sadness, or fear, but allowing yourself to experience them fully and then deciding consciously how to move forward. Think about this. How often have you reacted in a moment of frustration or fear and later wished you had responded differently? When you develop emotional mastery, those moments become fewer and fewer. Instead, you pause, breathe, and respond with clarity and intention And this mastery creates resilience. Life will test you. It will throw heartbreak, loss, rejection, and stress in your path. But when you have emotional intelligence, you don't crumble under pressure. You absorb the impact, learn from it, and come back stronger every time. You develop a kind of emotional armor, not one that blocks feeling, but one that protects your peace and your power. Beyond resilience, emotional mastery allows you to build authentic connections. People can feel when you're emotionally grounded and present. They trust you. They are drawn to you, and your influence grows. Leadership starts inside when you are in command of your own emotional world. You naturally inspire others to do the same. This doesn't mean emotions become robotic or mechanical. It means they become your allies. Your passion fuels your drive. Your empathy builds bridges. Your joy ignites enthusiasm. When you master your feelings, you unlock a new dimension of power and presence. So start practicing today. Notice your emotions as they arise. Ask yourself, what is this feeling telling me? What action can I take that aligns with my goals and values? And then choose to respond rather than react. When you become the CEO of your emotions, you don't just survive the storms of life, you thrive in them. Once you've taken ownership of your life, reshaped your mindset, and stepped into emotional mastery, the next piece of the puzzle is consistency. And that comes down to building unshakable habits, rituals that align with who you want to become, not just what you want to achieve. Because success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. It's the things you repeat daily that carve the path of your destiny. The truth is, your life right now is a reflection of your standards and your systems. Look at your results. Your health, your finances, your relationships, they all stem from patterns you've repeated over time. So the question isn't, what do I want? It's what am I committed to doing every single day, no matter what? Most people set goals, but they don't build the rituals to support those goals. They get fired up in a moment, but when that moment fades, so does the action. That's not mastery. Mastery is when you show up, even when it's inconvenient, when you keep the promise you made to yourself long after the mood you made it in is gone. That's the difference between those who talk about change and those who live it. You want to feel powerful? Get disciplined. Discipline is freedom. It's the quiet force that sharpens your focus, eliminates distraction, and builds confidence. Because when you know you can trust yourself to follow through, that's when you become dangerous in the best possible way. Your habits don't have to be huge or dramatic. In fact, the smallest consistent action done with intention can shift your entire identity. Waking up early and spending 10 minutes in silence. Moving your body every day, not for perfection, but for energy. Feeding your mind with truth instead of scrolling endlessly through noise. These things seem small, but they compound. They shape who you are becoming. And it's not just about productivity or performance. These rituals are your anchor. In a world full of chaos and uncertainty, your daily habits give you stability. They remind you who you are. They keep you grounded in your mission, even when life tries to knock you off course. So ask yourself, what are the habits of the person I'm becoming? How does that version of me think, move, act, speak, start their day, end their day? And then start acting like that version now, not when it's convenient, now. Because if you wait until life gets easier, you'll be waiting forever. The habits you commit to today become the foundation of the future you create tomorrow. You can take control of your life, build your mindset, master your emotions, and develop rock-solid habits, but none of it matters if you're not present. Because mastery doesn't live in the past or in the future. It lives here, now, in this moment. And yet most people spend their lives everywhere except the present. They're stuck reliving the pain of yesterday or worrying about a tomorrow that hasn't even happened yet. Presence is power. When you are fully here, fully alive in this moment, everything changes. You see with clarity. You feel with depth. You make decisions from a place of certainty instead of fear. But when you're distracted, when your mind is hijacked by what ifs and should haves, you lose access to your highest self. Think about how many moments we waste. How many days are lost to overthinking, overanalyzing, numbing out, or running on autopilot. But when you're present, truly present, you reclaim those moments. You wake up, you become deliberate. You begin to live on purpose. And presence isn't about perfection. It's not about shutting off every thought or being some Zen master on a mountaintop. It's about coming back to yourself again and again. It's about choosing to be fully where you are, and instead of being dragged by thoughts you can't control or situations you can't change. That's the real discipline. Bringing your attention to this breath, this choice, this step. When you're present, you gain perspective. You realize that most of what stresses you out is just noise. Stories in your head that lose power the moment you shine awareness on them. In presence, there is no panic. There is clarity. There is peace. There is truth. And with that clarity comes power. Because when you're here, in this moment, you can respond intentionally instead of reacting impulsively. You can make the hard choice. You can say the right thing. You can hold space for yourself and for others. Presence gives you access to wisdom that gets drowned out by all the mental clutter. It also connects you with your intuition, that quiet voice that always knows what you need, but gets buried under the chaos of distraction. When you're truly present, you can hear it, you can trust it, and that voice, your inner knowing, that's the compass that will never lead you wrong. So slow down. Breathe, look someone in the eye and actually listen. Put down the distractions and feel your life happening right now. Because life doesn't happen in the past and it won't wait for you in the future. It's unfolding right here. The more present you are, the more power you have. At this stage of your journey, you've taken back your power, mastered your mind, elevated your emotions, built habits that shape your future, and learn to live fully in the present. But there's one more level, one more piece that brings it all together and gives your growth a deeper meaning. And that's purpose. Because true inner mastery isn't just about becoming better for yourself, it's about using who you've become to serve something greater than you. Fulfillment doesn't come from achievement alone. You can have the money, the body, the accolades, but if you're not aligned with a deeper purpose, something will always feel missing. That's because we're not built to just survive or succeed. We're built to contribute, to impact, to matter. When your growth becomes a gift to others, that's when your life starts to feel rich. That's when your energy changes from striving to serving. You don't have to be famous or start a global movement to live with purpose. Purpose isn't about size. It's about alignment. It's about asking yourself, what do I have within me that can help someone else? It might be your strength, your creativity, your compassion, your story. It might be the lessons you've learned through your own pain. Whatever it is, your purpose lives in the space where your personal growth meets the world's need. And this is where inner mastery turns into legacy. Because you're no longer just operating for your own gain. You're moving with intention. You show up differently. You lead differently. You connect differently. And you begin to realize that your challenges, your journey, none of it was random. It prepared you for this. Serving something greater doesn't deplete you. It energizes you. When your actions align with your purpose, you don't burn out, you burn brighter. And people feel that. They feel your certainty. They feel your heart. That's when you become a force, not because of how loud you are, but because of how real you are. And look, you don't need to have it all figured out. Purpose evolves. It expands as you grow. But it begins with a decision to stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, who can I become? And how can I give? That shift opens a new dimension of power and fulfillment you can't access any other way. So take everything you've built, your discipline, your presence, your strength, and pour it into something bigger than your own comfort. Whether it's your family, your community, a mission, or a vision that wakes you up in the morning, give your greatness somewhere to go. Because the real victory isn't just becoming the best version of yourself. It's using that version to lift others, to lead by example, and to light the path for those still finding their way. That's the moment you stop chasing success and start living with significance.